Hi, this is Damien re AtHope, and I'm an axiological atheist, and we're going to start the meeting. So I was asked, is atheism and humanism the same? No. Atheism, in its most limited form, is just lacking a belief. And that means you lack a conviction or belief of some deity. And a more extensive form would be that you assess the information or claims of a deity offered, and then you reject them, which would be a disbelief. Still, it's just a conclusion reached. It's not a belief system. Because some people wrongly say atheism is a belief. Well, it's a belief as much as I believe in reality. Now, humanism is a different proposition because it's an intellectual endeavor in how humans should interact and the worth of people. It basically is a belief that everybody, in a sense, is an equal value, and that human beings should be solving human problems through human means. In other words, they don't resort to things like faith. They don't resort to things like holy books or religious doctrine or religious teachers. They basically just use human methods and human means to solve human problems. So it can be, but it's not exclusively atheist. It doesn't really, it basically says that we can be good without a God, whether or not there is a God. So it basically, it almost sidesteps the God question and just says, let's just be good humans. Secular humanism is another branch, in a sense, of humanism, is more rejecting magical claims or supernatural claims and just sticking to naturalism. And that would be closer to what you would call atheism, mixed with the humanism. But it itself, in secular humanism, isn't declaring atheism. It's just saying we only accept natural, which in a sense is the same thing that most good atheists should be doing anyways, is saying, I accept what's natural because it's provable. So that's, to me, the main difference. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Some people mention that humanism involves science.
Yeah. Using human means, definitely.
What is it? Okay. What are human? Can you define human means?
Human means, just like she said. In other words, like human means would be nothing special, nothing magical. In other words, like human. If you said that you were humanist and you were ethical, it would mean that you use some rational or some prescripted ethical means that's attainable through intellectual thought, through social conditioning, through evolutionary means or understanding. You're not saying, well, I don't do this because God says. That's not humanism. You're a humanist. You do it because you don't want to hurt other people because you don't want to be hurt, in a sense. It's not, and like she said, and it's using stuff like science. It's using the best things to the humanly available to us. Mm-hmm. So it's not, in a sense, anti-religious or atheist. It's just saying we're going to use the stuff that we know for sure works, and has been proven through human means. Because in a sense, I mean...
Or like an earthquake is caused by this and this and these two plates.
Correct.
And it's not the wrath of God.
Correct, yes. It doesn't appeal to, especially secular humanism, does not appeal to any form of supernaturalism.
So would the scientific method be a form of humanism?
Well, I guess in a sense it is. Well, certainly humanists should use the scientific method. The scientific method, in a sense, I guess you could say, is acting in accordance to humanism. I wouldn't say that the scientific method is humanism. I mean, it's not doing anything that's against the principles of humanism.
Oh, there he is.
Hello, Dan. Sorry. Hello. Cindy hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, she's going to be coming. She called.
She's not coming?
No, she is coming. She said she called.
Yeah,
and she's
sometimes she's late by 20 minutes.
Yeah. How have you been?
I'm fine. I haven't seen you for a while.
Yes,
My grandson last month, so on the 18th.
Congratulations.
So that was a little earlier than expected, but that's what happened. So that's why I told her if we're going to do it, we should do it on the week before, but meeting here. So.
Yeah. Well, I went to the. Go ahead.
How is he? How early was he, and how is he doing?
Oh, about 2-3 weeks. He's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the first one? Or how many grandkids do you have?
Second. This is the
Second.
second one. The chair is a little low. You like it low?
Oh, I didn't really notice. I'll bring it up.
It's up to you. Whether you
No,
Oh,
light
yeah.
blows better. Thank you for the.
Yeah,
I didn't even know it could go lower. So see, look at that.
I was kind of laid back.
Yeah, you need lower probably.
I know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Let's try this out for a little bit.
So how was it meeting at that? Would be
I went. Where? Oh, I thought you were asking me when I went to Milwaukee.
Oh, I didn't.
I just came back from a convention, and I'm going to go to the convention next month. I'm going up to Canada. Going to Vancouver.
This is a atheist convention.
Yep. It's called the Imagine No Religion Conference. So, they're talking my language. But yeah, I'm going to go up to. So you're asking though about the dinner? It was good.
Oh, is it a dinner at Issaquah?
Yeah, it was. This was a lunch, not a dinner, maybe. But yeah, it was good. I think that it's weird that they make you pay cash.
Really?
I was like, cash?
What happened?
They go, you can write a check. I go, a check?
A check. I don't know if checks anymore. But what was it?
Oh, they take checks.
They said they took checks.
Wow.
I was like, wow. Man, in California, you pay nothing practically with a check.
Oh, wow.
A check, they're like, no, we want money.
Right. Wow.
Not a promissory note from your delusion.
Wow. So to be a part of the convention, you had to pay cash to get in. Is that what it was?
Oh, no,
Or for dinner.
Oh, no,
he's talking about a dinner we went to. No,
Oh.
yeah, no, the convention was $450.
Wow.
It's going to be like, I'm going to be there 19th, starts at 20th, and it ends, I think, the 22nd. It's only a couple days.
Wow.
But then I'm going to drive to Calgary,
Wow.
Alberta,
Wow.
and I'm going to do some on-the-street atheist activism.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out flyers because I'm going to come back and do a debate a day later.
Wow.
With the most extreme Christian fundamentalist group in Calgary.
Wow.
Because I'm like that. So I'm gonna. But anyways, I'm gonna go to Calgary first. Then I'm gonna drive up to Edmonton. And I'm gonna do a speaking event in the Edmonton Atheists. Then I'm gonna drive down and do a debate.
What's how is atheism popular in Canada or like
Yeah, I would say so. It is. I mean, except Alberta is one of the in general is one of the most fundamentalists of all the areas, or it's what I've been told. Put it that way.
What about Vancouver?
They're pretty laid back.
Yeah. I like Vancouver.
Yeah, I like
Vancouver.
Vancouver.
I've been going up there since I was 19. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I had a good time last time. I've already been there one time. But yeah, the convention I went to too this time was good.
So what's a convention like? Like when you go, I just went to a board game convention.
Yeah.
So I mean, what's an atheist convention like?
It's basically a lot of speakers usually, or they have different events. Like they have atheist comedy or skeptic comedy or rationalist something. They usually have things they give out, but a lot of it's just events. Sometimes they'll have different people talking or doing stuff, teaching you stuff, or talking about different issues. It's mainly a lot of seminars. I would say is kind of like with
like any conference.
Yeah. So it's pretty much like that. I mean,
I've only been to one conference. So no, it's yeah.
And some people have booths that, depending on how big the convention is. Most conventions have booths where people are selling books or things that are made, jewelry even that are made by atheists or whatever. That's in fact I bought thing at the last convention I went to in Florida. I bought a keychain.
Oh wow.
An atheist keychain.
What does that mean? It's an A.
Is it A? It means atheist.
Yeah. Okay.
Like my wrists.
Okay.
So people know, or the people that are atheists know.
What is there inscription, or is there like is it lame? Oh no, it's just
no.
design.
So what do you expect the attendance to be something like this? 1,000 people? 10,000?
You mean okay? So the one in Canada, I think I don't know exactly, but I would say maybe 300 people.
Okay, so it's not a very big one.
Well, in atheism, that is not that small.
Yeah, I mean, there are not many people.
Yeah, there is going to be one I'm going to a couple, I think it's 2 or 3 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in Washington, D.C., and it's the biggest in the world. And there's going to be about 10,000, I think, something like that. Certainly.
Do you usually draw protesters?
Do it now?
This convention, do they draw people coming and holding placards and?
At the one in Washington, there will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1,000 people there.
Yeah, Christians are going to be out there in force, I'm sure. In fact, I know one of them times they had a whole bunch of people trying to, cause an issue.
But this 300 probably not.
Yeah, plus it's in Canada, and where it's at in Canada, it's not, a place. Now, probably if they did it in Calgary, I guarantee the street church that I'm gonna debate, I'm sure he would go, because he goes to even the rodeos and protests for Christian. I mean, so I'm sure if there's an atheist event, this guy would be there for absolute sure. He protests things that people wouldn't even think of as to protest.
Why would he protest against rodeo?
Maybe because there's a bunch of people, and I don't know. That seems like crazy.
Well,
If you were into animals, you would protest the cruelty.
Well, but I don't think that's why they're doing it. No, they're pushing Christianity. So, but you're asking like, does it? But they're fanatics. I don't think that sense and them probably goes together real, efficiently. Because I agree with you. Why would you do that? I think it's just so that they can be known. Maybe, I don't know, but they could be thinking, well, they serve alcohol there, and maybe people are not being godly. I don't know. But I'm just saying that I know that if
some of the early believers drank wine, didn't they?
Oh, definitely. Jesus drank wine.
Couldn't drink the water.
Jesus. Well, you just think even if that was true, they couldn't drink the water. Jesus intentionally turned water that was drinkable into wine. So, yeah, their argument against alcohol really doesn't make that much sense.
No.
I was worried about that one myself because
right? I mean,
I've had some realizations, like epiphanies, if you want to call that, while drinking. Like, I'm like, wow, that was deep, I'm like, and then I thought to myself, I can understand why a monk would drink. But then I've had other experiences where I'm like, I can't see a holy person drinking. Like, I can't see a holy person that like believes in these certain things getting involved in this kind of lifestyle. So I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and I don't really know. But I haven't drank in like 2 years, so I stopped drinking.
Well, I think one of the things maybe about the drinking of why that they say that that is because of just what you said. You said lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference between drinking and being a drunk lifestyle, like having sex or whatever.
The first thing that happens when you drink is your reasoning goes.
Right.
I mean, everybody, all of us, rational
Not you.
thinking it starts to go. So
I was thinking about that on the way over here.
you can do things that you.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is I think that because they probably would say not to, because you could end up doing things that you supposedly wouldn't do. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, and everybody drinks who gets high enough on anything, there's a possibility of you doing behaviors that are not, prescriptively normal to your behavior.
Well, I mean, I think like the potential for regret goes up.
I don't drink, so.
I know, yeah. I mean, so that's good. Like, I don't know if it's good. I mean, like, my brother drinks, and I know it annoys me when I'm sober and he's drinking. But I mean, I think to myself, is it different for different people? I mean, like we were talking about truth earlier. There's different truths for everybody else. So I could say to my brother, well, it annoys me when you drink, but maybe in your universe or your dimension or whatever you want to call it, I mean, is that the way it works for you? And it's cool. I mean, it causes friction with me, so I mean, that's not exactly cool, but maybe that's my problem, something I need to work on. And I'm kind of like, well, I mean, because I mean, do different things work for different people? And
well, that statement, it would be universally true. Yes, different things do work for different people.
Right.
I mean, obviously, that is a truth.
Right.
I mean, I'm not against people drinking alcohol. Mm-hmm. I'm against alcohol for me. Because I'm an ex-alcoholic and drug addict, so, I mean, I tend to not want to do things that I already know are going to harm me, which have been proven to do so. I had liver failure at 17. Yeah, not a casual user.
Right, sure. This is just a word that popped into my mind. Yeah.
There was a liver floating in the top.
Yeah. Generally, when you end up in a rehab and then the school calls your mom, please come pick up your son. He's laying on the, on the table and thinks he's flying. Generally, you just might have a problem. Yeah. So I always tell people, I'm not against people drinking. I know what it does to me.
When I say the word moderation, what do you think about it?
Some people can socially
Some
drink.
people can do it.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So some people can socially moderate themselves.
Yeah, I don't judge what's right for other people. I mean, especially as long as it doesn't affect others. I mean, if it only affects you, whatever.
Right.
I think the Mormons don't drink because out of respect for their body. I don't think they're hung up on evil alcohol.
I don't know.
Apologize.
Hello.
Sorry, we're so late. We had some late phone calls she was waiting for, so
Hello.
we didn't get out on time.
I'm Abby.
Oh, nice to meet you.
I'm Tyler. Nice to meet you.
You know each other?
Yes.
What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Abby.
Tyler,
Oh,
I'm Cindy.
Cindy, nice to meet you.
I thought she was talking to you.
I'm working on a knitted hat.
Oh.
I crocheted your grandson
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
a crocheted quick hat.
There you go.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll pass it on next time I'm there.
Well, they stretch, so you don't have to panic about him
No.
growing fast. They grow fast enough as it is, right?
Yeah, knit like that couldn't even stretch to my head. I mean, I'm not going to do it because it may not stretch back. Right? It may go this way, but it may not go back that way.
They will stretch, but not quite that far. You do have to make some adjustments.
You're like,
to
no,
the size.
Damien, your head is quite big, and I'm not talking about your ego.
But it's got the perfect shape, though.
True.
Something like that.
True.
So, like, this is the one that I'm making for.
Did you say I was
Wednesday.
perfect? Oh,
He's.
it don't make me feel special.
Why not?
Hey,
How long have you been knitting for?
About 2
2
years.
weeks
Oh,
ago.
cool.
So,
oh.
Not too long.
All right
It
on.
was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you haven't. And how old is your older grandson?
He was the lower two, so
About-
he's
so-
born in January 2014.
Well, then maybe I'll knit two. Maybe
So
I'll
this
knit
is his
two
little
hats, and then
brother?
they'll each have one. Do they live here or in?
They live in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh
then
my goodness.
they'll have a better
Yeah.
reason to have a knit hat in the wintertime than we do.
Yeah, she's doing a
It's
residency
still
in
cool back
Connecticut.
there.
Cute.
So it's the head. It was born on the day you were.
Here, I called you, warn you about don't forget the meetup, and then I show up late.
Yeah.
So what
I
were
got
we
here.
talking about before?
I
we
got
interrupted
nobody's
you?
here.
Talking about conventions.
At least I have
Maybe-
Damien.
Yeah, I just went to an atheist convention in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I preferably like any of the conventions that talk about things like feminism, and they talked about sex, and they talked about trying to get out to people, like doing activism, all the stuff that I care about. So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this is a cool convention.
Not just one subject, yeah.
Yeah, and also about the brain. I thought it was
encompasses
pretty interesting. The brain. The first person was a neuroscientist, and they were talking about all these things that we believe that are not true. So it was pretty good. I liked
That we
it.
believe about the brain, or that we believe about?
Do we believe about reality? I can't remember. I recorded it. It's on my YouTube.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. I have 3.
Are they
No.
thinking more about the difference? Are they able to prove there's a difference in faith brains compared to people who don't have it?
Is there a difference between people's
I mean,
brains?
Are they doing?
Well, she wasn't talking about that. She was talking about beliefs in general. She was also talking about how some people have this belief that people have photogenic memories, and she said that it's been tested, and that's not exactly true. Photographic would mean that you actually can see it in your mind no matter how it's positioned. This is not true. They can only remember it how they read it. So if you mix it around and stuff, or like did it like a spiral or something, she said, they have a harder time. And she was saying that people like that too, that says that actually creates a limitation that we don't have. We have the limitation where we can't remember events, like just tons of detail. But they have a problem that they can't get the big picture. they can't remember certain things about what happened in a big picture setting. Where most,
so overwhelming the details. That
yeah,
they can't
they,
focus on any
yeah,
one
they,
particular
right.
area.
Well, have any of you seen this YouTube with a savant, a young man who they take in a helicopter, and fly over Rome, and then they put him in front of a big
I did see that.
wall, and he just draws
Yeah, that's amazing.
the number of windows, the details,
The
and
accuracy.
the whole sort of panorama. Now that seems supernatural.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, anything we can't understand, we like to think it's supernatural.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Do you know about that?
No.
The savants?
I've never seen a video,
was-
but I've seen a picture of a guy that had done a big long thing. Probably what you're talking about. I didn't watch a video on it, though, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was actually quite interesting one. It was something, they took him to a place where supposedly he had never been, and even if you had been there, you couldn't remember it with the detail that
Oh,
he
yeah.
was able to reproduce it. And from the
But
perspective.
why would you think it's supernatural?
No, I wasn't serious about that. It's just so amazing. Superhuman, let's say.
Yeah.
I mean, who can do that? I mean, it's even hard to believe, but
Speaking
I
of
believe it.
superhuman, did you watch that one with Stan Lee where he did all the superhumans? That was seriously
I don't
awesome.
know.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I did.
Who?
Dude.
Stanley?
Stan Lee is the guy that makes, I guess it's, I don't know
Yes,
about comic books,
yeah,
but he
comics,
makes,
like Marvel. Or is it
yeah.
Marvel? No, I
Duh.
think it's Marvel. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm never good. I know he does something with comic books. He's like, I think he drew, like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But
X-Men
X-Men,
movies and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. So because he wanted to, I can't remember how it happened, but so I think someone said, well, some of the things that you do that you're telling people are these fake, people. There's actually some people that can do some of that stuff. So,
The one I liked was the one with the people who are blind and they use clicks. I mean, I don't know
Yes.
whether you've seen it. It's like solar.
Yes.
It's good. That, I thought that was
that
interesting.
does seem
You know what I mean?
supernatural.
I mean, a little bit. Yeah.
riding a bike. And
Oh, riding a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they just know. I mean, the one guy.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
wild.
It was just
See through
wild.
their skin. So-
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the other guy had something. Yeah. It was just.
He could be electrocuted and wouldn't get hurt. There was another person that could drink like 7 gallons of water or some
So
kind
was
of
it special
insane.
on television?
Yeah, he showed like all these people. One guy is from India, was able to climb this wall like a monkey. I'm like, what the?
Stanley's super
Yeah,
human.
the ability to
It's like
suction cups on his fingertips. Or?
no, it's just I don't know, but he's able to just like you're like going no.
The guy is out with a slab on his chest, and it like sticks to him. It's he was like,
Oh,
I can't
yeah,
really
yeah, I
call it.
remember,
He
yeah,
actually
yeah,
put,
yeah.
like that. It was like, and he went. I don't know if it was metal or not.
No, he did plastic too.
Yeah, it was whatever.
But
he just stuck it to himself.
Yeah,
And he went, yeah.
that was
He
pretty
from
bizarre.
Russia. He might have lived. I don't want to say this, but he might have lived next to radioactive stuff. I don't know.
He got bitten by a radioactive spider.
Yeah.
You know.
So, I don't know, but that was
Probably
interesting.
inhaled magnets.
Yeah.
Part slug, that sticky slime coating,
Who did that? You didn't say Spike Lee, did you?
No. I said Stan Lee did a
Stan
video
Lee.
series
Sorry.
Yeah.
on superhumans. I think that's what he called it,
He's a
or
comic
something
book
like that.
illustrator.
It was
and wrote
amazing.
the comics for Superman and not Batman, Spider-Man and the X-Men series.
Yeah. I think it's put Stan Lee in probably
And
like
he's
superhuman
in
or
the
something
movies,
like
he
that.
plays a little bit part, kind of like Stephen King does in his movies too. He has
Right.
a little cameo part where he shows up.
But the question about brain differences, I would think, no, there's no difference between the brain of a religious person and a non-religious person, because I think we all have delusions and beliefs and misconceptions and limited.
She asked you to
perceptions.
speak up, I think, didn't you?
Maybe I'm losing my hearing, but
Oh, that's fine.
We should put you two closer together. You guys want to sit closer together? Because she has.
no, can
No,
Yeah,
but you speak softly over.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just do that. That
Yeah,
way,
that way you guys, you'll be able to hear one another since you're both lighter.
is that
You
okay?
sit next to
Sorry.
Peggy.
Yeah, it sounds really loud in my ears, but I guess it isn't loud.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that I think that, let me know, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
People tell me that all the time too, so tell me.
Yeah.
Is this crazy? Can't hear someone.
Yeah, that, we all have beliefs, and we all have also delusions, misconceptions, and limited perceptions. We all do. So I don't think there's a difference between the brain of a believer, a Christian, and an atheist.
If I can chime in, for me, I just had a brain scan done.
Yeah? Did they
And,
find any religion in there?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we found God. There, he was hiding.
They found like it was like highlighted parts. Like it was this place called the Amen Clinic.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah.
That guy's a crackpot. But go ahead.
I mean, I wanted to know what's going on. I had some problem in the right hemisphere a while back, and I wanted to see what was going on in there. And like certain parts were highlighted, and they do stuff with a lot of kids with ADD and stuff like that. And I don't know. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he told me certain parts were highlighted in certain centers. It's like it's kind of like if your mind is in one place all the time. It's like that center is probably more activated than like other centers. I don't know if it's like whether it's delusions or whatever it is. I don't know, but I think it's like I don't remember where my centers were. I don't know where it was, but like I think I remember in some things they were talking about. It was like it's like the more time you spend somewhere, the more is activated and highlighted, and it was kind of like, so. So I don't know. I guess I don't really have much to say on that. I went for a brain scan. And it was kind of like I thought I learned something about like if your mind is more in that area. I don't know if it grows or if the brain's kind of like a muscle.
Did they explain what the specific area?
Yeah, no, they did. Well, he kind of like a lot of it. I just didn't really. But there's certain parts of the brain like where certain things like whether it's certain emotions, or in certain parts of the brain. Which ones are responsible for like dopamine and like all these other things, and he was like, well, this is kind of where you're at right here, and he's like, this is where it is right here, this could mean this, and he offered me a bunch of vitamins and things. You know what I mean? So I mean, yeah, I know that's what I was going with the plug and all that, yeah. But it was interesting to see like the science behind like where all this stuff is going. And I can't remember what he said for me. It was like trouble sitting still. And I do have trouble sitting still. And there was like this part of the brain that's just like more active even
that's
when I was at
something he may have noticed though, physically.
Yeah.
He may have seen you fidgeting and said,
but
this is the cause of it.
But so the
Amen
Amen Clinic is for Amen, like Jesus, Amen. It means yes, he's a Christian. He's not credible,
right? Because
science does not support his claims,
right? Okay.
So he claims that he can do brain imaging, and that tells him what kind of mental disorder or things about you. It's not proven. His.
Do you know about this?
It's all bull.
Yeah.
They can look at a brain scan and tell whether you've had a stroke.
Stroke, yes.
Yeah, but he tries to say he can diagnose depression, schizophrenia. He can do
looking at tea leaves or something.
Well, I think it's probably a little more incredible than that, but not much. So yes.
Are they actual brain scans?
Yes, they are. But
what method? I mean.
Well,
I don't know the technical thing to explain what method, but I know he does. The reason I know about this before you is not because I care about the Amen clinics, but my mom is a Christian, and she's constantly trying to figure out how to get me to agree to some form, even the most watered down form of Christianity, by having me, get involved in stuff like the Amen clinics. And she's sneaking a little bit of science in there because she knows I only like science.
That justifies all the actions
Why
you
don't you
can
go
do.
try it out and then tell us?
I would be concerned
Well, she's in
about somebody
California.
who's not a practitioner using medical equipment on you that maybe it can or can't do harm.
Well,
just how can they utilize
I did do what
something
you
that
said,
doesn't-
not on the Amen clinics, but another one of the, Christian things where they use some kind of light or something on you. Because she says, I'll pay for it. And I was like, she goes, it could help you stop having pain because I have chronic pain stuff because of my truck accident. Sometimes I can't walk and stuff. Anyways, I have to wear a wheelchair. So I thought, she's going to pay for it. I was in California, and she said, I'll pay for it. And I was like, how can I,
Gives you an hour away from
Yeah, it's like, whatever, So he did light, and then I'm like, do I need to, something like, he's like, it's laser pulse light or something. I go, do I need to remove my, pants so you can do it to my skin? He goes, oh, no, it can go right through your clothes. And I was like, I'm already seriously doubting the credibility. It goes through my clothes? Okay.
Maybe it's like the airport scanner.
Yeah.
snake oil?
Yeah, exactly. And what flavor would you like your snake oil?
What kind of snake oil, yeah.
and it was like, I think it was like $45 the first time, then $80 the next time. I felt
Like some kind of X-ray or
it's like some pulse light or something.
Like mini Scientology almost, where
Yeah.
you go in and they'll read you and then they'll tell you what you could benefit by and get you in the door and then convince you and cajole you and make you sound like you're so much better and don't you seem so much happier this time you come back.
Yes, they did.
Then we'll increase the dollar amount.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, they tried to do that. Oh, don't you feel better? I said, I feel nothing, but yeah, I don't feel worse. I told my mom I was worried because I don't, like you said, I mean, someone doing some wacky thing to me, what if it hurts me? I mean, I don't want to be more in pain. And it's like, oh no, it has no effects. Yeah, but if it has no effects, it probably has no effects good either. It wasn't X-ray. It was something like a laser, but it wasn't. I don't know, some kind of pulse light or something.
An empty copy paper box with foil on it. And a
no,
bunch of
they had a
dogs.
machine. They had a machine, but I don't know that it was actually doing anything. But
then they have a bunch of slides that
You got it
have
at the
roughly the
medical
same size
surplus,
head or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Company.
Yeah.
Everybody's skeleton is roughly the same as long as you get the height right.
So I did try. I'm not a person who's skeptical. I'm a rationalist. I'm willing to do things that are rational, and I did try it, and I realized I don't want my mom to have to keep paying money, even if I was like, it did nothing for me. I told her I'll try it, and I tried it, and
So, don't quacks like this need a license to be?
No, it depends. I mean, at $40, $80. I mean, I'm
gosh.
sure the person has no license, no medical background.
So,
No,
I
on
don't-
a
I
regular
don't know.
scan, you're looking in thousands. So,
Their office is the back of their cab or camper or something.
it was an office, but
yeah, but again,
but why
I
are
don't
these,
know.
Why are these things allowed if they're just ripping people
Well,
off?
for me, the reason I went into the Amen Clinic is because I had something
now
like
you're
a-
calling it something different.
Oh, the Amen Clinic.
Oh, they said Amen.
The reason I went in, or one of the main reasons I went in, is because I had a physical problem. I was drinking too much caffeine at the time, and it's a whole long thing, but I felt this thing go off, and I was really freaked out, and I thought I was going to pass away one night, and I was like, well, say my last words and all this kind of stuff, and I woke up the next morning, and I was like, well, I kind of want to get this checked out. And I mean, I saw on the scan there was this red spot like right where this is, and I was kind of like, well, at least that validates. I'm not saying that's what it is, but at least it validates that there is something right here. Because I know I keep telling my parents and people that there's a physical thing going on. I don't want to go too much in detail about it, but like, it's like at least the brain scan. It didn't really as far as the other things like diagnosis, all these other things. I was like, whatever. But like, I just wanted to know the physical thing.
Well, have you
like,
seen a doctor and have it investigated properly?
That was part of it, and like it's a whole long thing that I just don't need to get into. But like, it's like,
But you did.
But that was my first step.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But you did go get the doctor, right?
Yeah, I mean,
An actual doctor,
And an actual.
not
Yeah.
not the Amen
My
Clinic.
dad's a doctor, so it's kind of like, I mean, and I could go into further detail on it, but I feel like as far as I'm concerned, like I do things like, for me, it's like I did this thing called Urban Float, which was really helpful. I've done like a couple other things that have been like, have you heard of it?
Is that the salt
The
water?
salt water. Yeah, I found that helpful for my brain. I've been doing like a lot of brain healthy activities like nutrition. This Urban Float was good, and I even like this one I did where it's called Acutonics, and because my brain like other things, but it's like sound therapy. It's like they ring all these bells, and it's kind of new agey and stuff like that, and I don't really know if it works, but I kind of think it's kind of cool. Like the sound waves go through, and I thought that was kind of cool, because when you're at a point, when you're in so much stuff, it's like anything will work. You're just going from all these
Right,
different
but
places. That's why when I talked to you, and he was talking about rationalization and truth and all these things, I was like, this is the place for me,
Yeah.
because I want to get to those
And obviously
you
she's
know?
one of the people that I would like, because what she said is be my answer. You should go, if you have not done, you need to go to a doctor and have an actual doctor, because there's actually something right or wrong with your brain. You need to know.
Right. Oh yeah. No.
I mean-
I know. Oh, I know what you mean.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, no offense, but sitting in salt water is not going to cure if you have a brain tumor. I mean, you need
Well,
to.
I mean, yeah.
Well, but it can be relaxing. I think what he's saying is that this is sort of a personal issue. He doesn't want to get into the
Okay.
details, and that.
yeah, so Now, coming back to your question, I think there actually are brain differences among the believers and non-believers, so to speak.
Yes.
There is a body of work by neurologists. I mean, people who are easily, I would call it the gullibility factor, are those who are more prone to, there's a part of the brain in the temporal lobe that's certainly people who go into trance easy, who tend to be, very religious and do a lot of praying. There's a larger part of that, tissue there. That's all work out of San Diego. One of the neurologists has done. He's published it extensively in scientific journals. So there is vulnerability. Not all human beings are same in
But
terms
that does
of.
not mean that they're more prone to.
They're more prone
Yeah,
to.
they're prone.
It's not because of the religion.
Yeah, they're
but
more prone to. How should I put it? I mean, they tend to go into a different altered status. So to them, that's the way that neurology looks at it is that this is the sort of religious supernatural experience. So that's why they're more prone to believing in things. People who are very skeptical, very rational, don't have that area of the brain well developed. Yeah.
What's your definition of rationality? What would you call
Well, I mean, it's the good old, what the Greeks thought. It still holds 3,000 years later.
So,
When I hear that word, I think good. I think like, I think to be rational about something, I think it's like truth is somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Like, there's a truth word that's kind of like, that's definitely, yeah.
well, to me, rational is that your beliefs or your ideas or your conclusions or assessments match the given world or are coherent to what you're saying.
Like everybody, right?
Everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
based on
I use
evidence
good-
and-
well, yeah,
evidence.
it matches the world. It matches if I say that this is a chair, it has to actually be a chair. If I say it's a cow, that's not being rational.
Unless it was once a cow.
Well, yeah,
The leather.
true.
Part of it was.
Yeah. So rationality is what your primary senses will tell you, which most human beings will agree, or most other people agree. I mean, if you really want to get into it, works of Descartes, they're the best works if you really want to read them. His deliberation. The Greeks did it well.
Although his one statement, though, it's funny for someone so intelligent, he made a statement that actually precludes itself. Because he says, I think, therefore I am.
That's his.
But he started with I. I think. He should have said, thinking happens. It appears to be I'm in control of the thinking. Thus I am. That would have been more careful.
Remember, in the context of when he did this work.
No, I know. I'm just.
Well, you need to immortalize that then.
No, I just think it's funny because I know I really like Descartes because he's one of the first rationalists. I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
And he also uses what I use as methodological skepticism, a methodological approach to how we assess if something is not worthy.
Yeah, and he also spoke of being skeptical. You
Yeah.
have to doubt.
Yeah. His second deliberation is the one I use with most, training people to. He basically says he knows that these things cannot be true, but still his very learned colleagues keep on spouting it off. And he says, why do they do this? That's his major deliberation. Why do human beings go for explanations when they know there's no explanation? Okay?
That we've found yet. For most of the time, anyway. Like, science may, in the future, develop something that can then test for some things.
No, it's more like he says, why can't these people say, I don't know? Instead of
Right,
saying, I don't
right.
know,
I've been saying that a lot lately. That's the
it's
conclusion
all
I've
right.
come
It's
down
a human
to.
fallible.
I don't know.
It's okay to not
That's-
know.
See, and I'm getting used to that, actually. Kind of like, you know what? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I'm like, I boiled this down as so far as I can, and I just don't know.
Yeah,
And I'm getting
we
comfortable.
live in a sea of ignorance. That's all.
But that's rational to me.
That's rational.
Because there's a lot of things we don't know.
Pretending to know
Things you don't
Pretending to
know.
is the
Yeah.
common, and especially education institutions are full of it. Yeah.
Well, I think what she just said before about we can be deluded too, because sometimes we think we know something, but sometimes we know a fact, not the whole set of facts.
Sometimes it's like most of the time.
Well, I'm just saying, so we can say, well, this is a drink, and it must be alcohol. I mean, Well, why is that? Well, it's dark. Looks like beer, so it must be beer.
And you're laughing.
Yeah.
So it must right?
Must
be that there's something in it.
Well, it's like I was talking about Santa Claus earlier. It's like when I was a little kid, it's like I kind of know Santa Claus exists. I grow up, I know Santa Claus doesn't exist. I mean, tomorrow Santa Claus is going to pop up and I'm going to be like, well, now I know Santa Claus exists. And then is it going to keep going like in this like pattern? And I'm
when
kind
you're
of like,
rewarded at Christmas time with gifts under the tree from Santa Claus, you're going to keep believing long
I know,
beyond
yeah,
the time
so
that
I
you
don't know.
have the
It's like-
rationality that says he doesn't.
yeah,
Well,
right.
well, children are very impressionable, and that's why I think children who are indoctrinated with religion or any kind of belief from the start are going to have a really hard time, or is it, giving any that up.
In a way, that's why I think the belief in the Tooth Fairy and Santa Claus and all that is actually healthy for children. Because parents generally allow the child to come out of that belief, and they understand that some things people will lie to you about for the sake of fun. Some are for the sake of your health. Brush your teeth, keep them clean. You don't get money for a tooth with a cavity or a filling. Things that may benefit your health-wise. The Easter Bunny, no big deal. Most of the time when Patrick was little, we always gave him, he got some candy, never jelly beans because those stick in your teeth too long. And he always got toothbrushes and toothpaste with his candy too. And it was like, you get to have candy, but you also still have to keep the rules. The benefits of the health are also positive. But I think it's actually healthy. A lot of people say, but it's just wrong. You should never lie to your children. Well, you're not. You're just kind of letting them learn about that not everybody tells the truth. Sometimes it's for positive
see,
ways,
you
and
just
sometimes
said
it's for
you don't
negative
lie,
reasons.
but you let them know everyone not tells the truth. So what you're saying is you're lying.
Well, that's right. There are stories,
it is
and
lying.
there is fiction, and there is fact, just like in storybooks.
I do have a question.
People who say that are in denial, though. You should never lie to your children, because I'm sure they do.
Oh yes.
Well, I mean, okay, so I actually have a question. Like, okay, so there's Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, or whatever, on this one side, and then there's the Pilgrims, Native Americans, like the Crusades, all this kind of stuff on this side. And it's kind of like, like it's like when I grew up. It's like this, for example, like Christopher Columbus. You get taught one thing in elementary school, then you go to college, and it's just like boom. You know what I mean? Like I've been lied to the whole time.
Right.
And it's kind of like I sit back and I'm kind of like, well, as a little kid, would I have been ready to hear? But then at the same time, it's kind of like, when do you start telling the real truth?
Right.
I mean, is the real truth too brutal?
I think as soon as the kids question it,
right.
and that's why, especially in the Catholic Church, you are not allowed to question stuff. They don't want you to ask questions about your beliefs or question even the facts that are presented. They don't want you to ask questions about it.
That's kind of true of Christianity in general, but Islam is no different.
Right.
So is some of the other religions. I mean,
right.
Judaism kind of asks questions, but it reminds me of a quote that's by Noam Chomsky. It says that you limit people's things, then you let them do a large amount of discussion inside that frame. Mm-hmm. That's how you control people. You control them best by making them believe they can actually question, but you limit what they can question. You limit the dialogue to almost nothing, so they go, oh, I can dialogue, yeah, in this little tiny box, and the 4 or 5 little things, yeah, you can do whatever you want as long as you keep in that thing.
I think a real superpower allows itself to be questioned. I mean, because it doesn't worry, it's not worried about like the truth of it, or not the truth, or the how it is,
How does it stay
Be like,
superpower, though?
yeah, right. It's like question. I don't know. All right, go for it.
I think probably most religions don't like, or any kind of beliefs, don't like to be questioned. I did encounter one religion that, well, I was told that they encourage. Sorry, Peggy, you don't hear me? Should I talk louder?
It's okay.
Okay. I did encounter one religion where I was told that they encourage questioning. You can ask whatever you want, and they believe that.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
That your path
Sorry,
is your own personal, and they don't have any clergy, and it's up to each individual to find their way to God or whatever, and that's the Baha'is.
My friend had a good experience with them. She said in college, if there's any religion she would join, that would be the one. Baha'i.
Unfortunately, I asked a question that I got a very angry reaction to. Yeah.
Which question was it?
Well, they have their holy texts, like all others, and these holy texts were written in Persia in the early in the last century, I think, and by their guru, who was imprisoned for a long time, solitary confinement. You find this also in a lot of religions, that the starter or the guru was mistreated. Anyways, and so one of the sons translated during his prison years. He wrote all these volumes of texts, and one of his sons translated them in the 30s or 40s and into English, but gave them a language that was more like Shakespeare, like thou hast, and that kind of thing. So I asked someone, why did they translate it like that, making it harder to, less accessible for people?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to understand that stuff. And I got a very angry reaction that that was not a good question.
So we put an authoritarian spin on it. Puts it to you, right?
Yeah. But my point was, they and the people I got close to did allow any kind of questioning, but it's not everybody who does, apparently.
And you're talking about the Bali faith?
No, Baha'i.
B-A-H-A.
But the Baha'i faith, is there talking about?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a Persian
school
of thinking.
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. The one that started like 18 something, right?
I don't know when, but it originates from Persia, and they believe that all the world religions are actually part of God's plan.
Yeah.
And they've been persecuted in Iran, and there are many who have come over here. Some are in jail still in Iran. But they seem very tolerant and open-minded to me. But not all of them.
Yeah, I think that's the one. I wrote 10 blog posts on the 10 world religions, the biggest ones, and how they're all sexist. Improved it. And they're one of the faiths.
I don't know how I found sexist atheists, so.
Well, I didn't say there's not sexist atheists.
I didn't say you didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I did, just pointing that out. Or misogynistic tendencies in the atheist community.
True.
What do atheists, just throw something out there, like, what do atheists, because I was hearing this thing on the radio, and, like, there's a bunch of Christians, like, bashing all these women for having abortions and stuff like that. Do atheists have a stance on abortion?
Well, there's no atheist stance on anything, because there's no atheist, in a sense, doctrine. Different atheists think differently, but majority of atheists generally are pro-women's rights, as you're asking. But that's not universal.
Right.
I guess in the Christian religion.
Well, because a Christian is a religion, so there's a doctrine.
It's fundamentalism, it's kind of like that.
No, atheism as a rule, what I've learned is that there's no dogma.
Right.
So since there's no dogma, there's no right or wrong.
And technically, there's no ism.
Yeah,
We are just atheists. That just means we don't have theists in our
it only means we have no belief in deities. That's all.
So there's no position to take with them. Each individual can take any position they want.
It's a natural consequence to be
of being atheist, the way you think about things.
Because those who are the pro-lifers refer to religion as their main reason.
I would think we would have less trouble with abortions because we don't believe. Well, I think most atheists means absence of theism.
Right.
Atheist. I wish we. In fact, I really wish that the word was pronounced differently, because it has a terrible negative. It resonates negatively. But I think personally, I have less trouble with abortions because I don't believe there's a soul there. I'm less troubled by it. I don't believe you should use it for birth control.
That's the rationale. I mean, how many of us really believe in a soul?
I think
You know what I mean?
every woman who has an unwanted pregnancy and contemplates abortion goes through a lot of mental turmoil in deciding if it's right or wrong.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
But so, like you asked before about humanism, I would say most humanism, people that believe in humanism, probably are for abortion. That would be a lot more than atheism. You don't know, but most people do. But and then, like most people that are not all, but most people that are atheists are also humanists. So generally, I mean, it's not.
What did you say?
Most atheists are also humanists.
No, absolutely not.
Well, you can look at the stats.
It's the other
The
way
stats, the
around.
majority
No,
are
there are no
Democrats.
stats.
There are two stats of atheists.
No.
There are. Okay.
Because there are so many people who call themselves humanists who are not, who do not live according to humanist ideology.
So, question: what's your definition of humanism versus what's
Well,
humanism?
humanism is more of an ideology.
Mhm.
It's about putting human life first. It's about it contains a lot of values about justice and living standards for livable conditions for human beings and everything. So, but so it's more of a sort of have a gold star on your forehead if you're saying that you're a humanist. It's like I'm somebody who believes in good for mankind. But the thing is, the way people behave, I think, determines if they really are an atheist or not, or if it's just talk. And my experience in the atheist community is there are a lot of false prophets around. Sociopathic elements who say they're humanists, for example. And how do you disprove them? You can't really.
Right. So, I mean, all right. So you can be humanist and atheist, and you can be right. Sorry, I'm trying to.
Yeah, most humanists are not necessarily all, but most of probably humanists are atheists.
Okay.
But atheists can be ex-murderers or Wall Street crooks or
I think it's just
But same with any religion.
just as effective, right?
So
Catholics,
let me read the
everything
since I said there was the stats and you said there was not. I'm going to read the Pew Research 7 Facts of Atheists. 3.1% of American adults are atheists. In fact, 2, in general, atheists are more likely to be male and younger than the general population, 68%. Number 3, self-identified atheists tend to be assigned with the Democratic Party or political liberalism, and that is 69%. And then, although literal definition of atheism is a person who believes there's no God exists, which I don't agree with that exactly, but it's not a belief, but according to them, 8% of those who call themselves atheists say they also believe in some kind of a universal spirit, probably pantheism, because it's not saying directly.
They call that atheist.
Yeah, Baha'i is pantheism.
Well, would I call that atheist? No, I would not call that an atheist, but
Who's calling it atheism?
Pew Research Forum did a test, and it said that 8% of people that say they're saying people
they
that
identify as being atheist.
right,
Okay.
they call themselves
They call
yeah.
themselves
I
atheists.
wouldn't call them an atheist.
Right.
I would call them a pantheist. But
Right.
8% of people that say they're an atheist are actually pantheists. So, anyways, and then this other one is harder to read. One, it's long, unsurprisingly. Atheists. Unsurprisingly, more than 9 out of 10 self-defined atheists say religion is not too or not important in our life. Or not too important, or not all that important in our life. That's 97%
Of atheists.
of atheists say that religion is not important in our life. So a small percentage obviously does say it is important.
Religion is important to an atheist.
Well, if you take 97, what is that?
Yeah, I mean, that's like...
What, 3, 7, 8,
3 out
9,
of
10?
100.
Yeah.
Some of those people just aren't going to
They
understand
don't
the question.
understand.
Well, I think someone didn't understand the question when they asked them, "Are you an atheist?"
Yeah.
They said, "Yes, I believe in a universal spirit." Well, then, by definition, you're not an atheist.
Right. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
so
first you have to agree
so
on what the question's about.
so
Yeah.
of course, this is a Pew research. I'm just saying there is research that's been done. Now, I agree with you. Depends on what people call an atheist. Some people might say there are one, and obviously they're showing they're not. I mean, but this I'm just saying there are general stats that say a few things about.
Okay, how about humanism?
It says here, the atheists are more guided by scientific research, which we already know. This one doesn't talk about humanism. The seventh question.
Humanism has become more a political issue. I think that's where I would paraphrase it, because it's cool to be humanist now. It's never cool to be atheist.
If you have to identify with something, identify with at least a little bit of positive attribute that people can associate with.
Humanism has become more politically correct thing to do.
Yeah, you can trust me. I'm a humanist.
Yeah, in that sense you're right. But I think, but a lot of humanists are, are probably atheists, but not. But as you say, I mean, for all I know, Trump will say he's a humanist, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Someone who says, I don't know if the KKK is bad. How you could then go to, I'm probably humanism would be really,
Who said that?
Trump said that. They asked him, well, you have a connection, it seems, to the KKK and to, was they
Some guy.
David Duke or something like that?
Yeah, that's right.
And he goes, well, I'm not going to, the guy said, will you renounce them right now? And he goes, well, I don't know enough about them to actually denounce them.
So he wants KKK votes.
Who doesn't know enough about the KKK to denounce them?
Well, this is stay safe.
So that's the whole thing about humanism. In politics, if you call yourself a humanist, because that's the only thing you can do, because you can't be an atheist after all. You have to go to church or some other, I think to become an American president, you've got to go to church. I don't think there's a choice about that.
Well, I heard Bernie Sanders say, God bless America. I was a bit surprised.
He also said a recent thing, too, that he's secular. He's Jewish and secular. So.
He's a Jewish secular, he claims.
But he said,
But
God bless America.
Yeah, I know. Then he could,
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells you what people will do to get whatever they're interested in.
Yeah.
Old habits.
It would be great if we could
On
vote.
the other hand,
Politicians.
is anyone ever amused like I am when someone says, well, he went to church, he was a fine Christian, except that he did some horrible murder or something, and they never seem to get it. As long as someone goes to church, they must be a good person.
Isn't the Ku Klux Klan like church related or something? Or don't they do like all the crosses and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, so horrible things can be done in the name. I mean, that's why I'm kind of like. I mean, that's one of the reasons I questioned things in the very beginning. Because I was like, well, I mean, I got brought up in the religious tradition, but man, I question. I question everything. I mean, someone like Shepard Fairey. I don't know if you heard of that clothing company, or he does a lot of art.
Yeah.
And he did Obama campaign. He's done he has his clothing line called Obey and all this kind of stuff. But he said question.
Oh, I've seen Obey, but I didn't know his name.
Yeah, Shepard Fairey. He does a lot of stencil work, and he posts around town, around New York and all that. But he said question everything, and he went through this whole documentary, and he said question everything at the very end. And I was like, man, all right, you know what I mean? Because I got a lot of questions, and I really need to break down truth and what that is. And I mean, what's handed to me, it's like on the one side you're saying Billy Graham, on the other side you're saying Ku Klux Klan. And I'm like, well, that seems kind of, or whoever on this side, whoever on this side. I'm like, that's kind of a lot for me to chew on at the moment. So I got to really go into so when, like I said, I was telling Damien, it's like whenever someone says truth, rationality, I saw the philosophy word thrown in. I was like, how can I not do that? You know what I mean? How can I not talk to someone who's like that? Or be a part of this group. That's what I found really intriguing. And so I have a problem with the religion thing, and I'm kind of like, well, some people, and so that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like, what does that boil down to? I mean, what is that? Just different people doing different things. I don't know. It's a mind. I don't understand.
There's just
it's just
so much denial. I mean, okay, people who call themselves humanists. Some perhaps really believe that they are. And then it's the same with Christians who feel that they can judge others because they are the correct kind of Christian.
I think it's like every religion, though. I mean, you see it everywhere.
Yeah, but she's correct. It's in atheism. People say you're not the right kind of atheist.
Right, yeah.
I mean, or right here, humanism.
But I'm thinking of, for example, this woman who refused to give marriage licenses. Where was that? Arkansas.
Kentucky.
Yeah,
Kentucky.
that's her job.
Okay, so anyways,
She saw it.
she did that because she felt that these people are sinners. Well, look at her own life, and she's been married numerous times and all sorts of things, and how does she have the position to judge anyone else?
The attorneys-
She's been forgiven.
The attorneys that backed her.
Oh, she's been forgiven, but these people she judges are not forgiven.
Yeah, it works for her.
It works for her, but not
She
for them.
sought that job too. She sought it out. Ran for it and got
True.
it.
Actually, there's like 3 people in her family that are doing similar jobs. And her attorneys, there was an article, I wish I'd saved a copy of it and could have printed it out and brought it in. Her attorneys run a group, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's similar to that. You know, they have these clearinghouse names of organizations, and they send little feelers out to communities across the United States. And apparently they're trying to pass legislation very similar to what has gone on in North Carolina recently, where they're trying to prohibit people, transgenders, from going into bathrooms that are not according to what they were assigned at birth or whatever. And they're adding those little features into the law that allow people of specific, or if they have a specific inherent religious belief, that they should be able to adhere to it, that it's their right, according to law, that they can say no to not giving somebody you can discriminate based on your personal religion. Well, you can discriminate all you want and tell yourself you can't do those things, but you should not be able to enforce it on other people. And what they're doing is they've created this group. They're sending out little feeler groups that are passing legislation in smaller communities, and they're trying to pass state laws in multiple states so that she can do that wherever she happens to live. Other people like her, and they're trying to restrict the freedom of the laws that have already been passed and approved by the citizens or the states and stuff. They're trying to restrict it, backhanded, through the back walls.
Doesn't it have some kind of convoluted name, like freedom of
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
freedom of
Yeah.
choice.
It's like clear skies.
And it probably has
twisted the
yeah.
clever.
It probably has patriot in it too, because now patriot is definitely a buzzword. If you're a patriot, you have to think this way, and nobody wants
You
to be
don't
called
question if you're
unpatriotic to their country. Therefore, they think that it's something good, and they'll vote for it. Or Americans for freedom,
works in the Bible Belt very well.
Right.
Yeah,
If I can find that post, I'll
But
add it to
Jesus,
a link to it.
Jesus didn't discriminate. I mean, he had prostitutes and all sorts of people. Yet there are people here on earth who believe in him, who believe that they can judge others and discriminate against others. And,
on his behalf, even though he never told them to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like people can bend it any way they want. It's like people can read the same
Any way
thing
they
and they're
want.
all going like opposite ways. It's kind of like, well, that's. I mean, I'm not saying that's maybe this is a part of life. Everyone's got their own interpretation, but it's like it's just interesting how that works. You know what I mean? It's like you can like be this whatever you're over here, and you can be this over here, and it's like you read the same thing, but justifying it to do the opposite stuff. And it's kind of like, well, I mean, I don't know, man. When does God show up and go like, okay,
You're right,
like,
you're
I mean,
wrong.
listen, we need to really straighten this out because
Or you're both
it's
wrong.
like, yeah.
You're all wrong. What
and
the?
I'm like, yeah, now let's start
Yeah.
again.
I mean,
But it's scary that
Maybe
this
it
could
doesn't.
become legislation.
Yeah, and they're pushing it in. I think they said 8 different states right now, and it's working its way to the top. And then of course they have the governors and these people that are put into office because they've been pounding on their Bible and talking about how they want to bring. The only reason that we have such severe problems in the United States is because we've let, Christianity has left the United States. We need to bring it back. Well, it's just outrageous that somebody, but there are so many people that think that needs to be brought forward, and it's just crazy.
That notion is in direct contradiction to the First Amendment. And these are the same people who keep asserting the Second Amendment right to
But
bear
now they
arms.
have power, and they have the authority to sign laws into act.
Well,
and that's what
it's a good
makes it
thing
really
that,
dangerous.
that they've gotten major reactions from big corporations and
Yes.
big rock
Oh, and
stars.
I've been cheering that on every time I see one of
Yeah,
those
my gosh.
posts. Bruce Springsteen's not going to appear.
That
in
makes
North
hope.
Carolina.
But,
Right.
but what's going to happen? These people are still going to exist. These people who think this is the right way to go. It's the country's going to be more and more divided. It's We're going to have another civil war one day?
Probably.
Think so?
I think so. Well, it may not be. It's not going to be muskets and
Why does
buckshot,
it work
you know,
so
or
well
anything
in
like
the
that.
Bible?
But
I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Why does it work so well in that part of the country? Why is it? What is the culture? Why does it?
Poverty, probably.
Yeah, but I have a problem sometimes when people say Bible Belt, because I was a truck driver. I've been to every single state in the United States.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, the Bible Belt, it must be like, what do you call it, like the crochet or something, because it may be a lot down there. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm from California. I was raised in a religious cult in California.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, every state I've been to, they'll say, well, that area is real religious. They'll say, well, sometimes they'll say even the Bible Belt. I mean, I do agree with you, there's more in that area, but I think it's wrong to assume that that's like the only area that does stuff.
You should say the Bible
why
blanket.
does it work?
Yeah, Bible blanket.
Right.
Because it's really the whole United
And
States.
it's creeping.
And they're
up.
sending
Europe
out
is
feelers
standing
just
back
to
going-
take over populated areas where they didn't exist before. They're
I
doing.
mean, it's
everything
like
they
you
can.
said about usually the Mormon Church. I mean, the Mormon Church is not in the Bible Belt; they're in Utah, and they have their fingers into California, Idaho, Wyoming.
Oh, all over the world.
Yeah, but I meant just in the United States. I'm saying they have a bunch of strong branches very close to all the states around them.
Colorado is full of them. Even Washington State, there
They're
are
quite
definitely people. I mean, Oregon definitely, So it's not like the more people and they tend to allow the law to be taken in, whereas I think in the West Coast the majority doesn't exist, so they fight that. But they're more convincing. I mean, you go to even Florida, you see a lot of that. Religion, a bigger issue. In Connecticut, where I lived, they're definitely cult. I mean, personally, I think you're mentioning Billy Graham, right? That sort of, institutional priest or minister within the presidential suite is much less now than it was 30 years ago. Obama doesn't have an in-house priest, does he? Who he consults. Reagan used to do that. Nancy Reagan used to do that.
She used to also consult her horoscope.
Yeah, didn't she have
That's
someone that was like
scarier.
doing something else too besides horoscope?
Probably
Some
tarot
other
cards.
yeah,
or something.
tarot cards. I think that's what it was. Tarot
So
cards.
the last
Nancy Reagan.
two presidents, I think, is less present. I'm glad, in Georgia, the governor had enough sense to say no.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah, Georgia, the same sort of bill came up and he vetoed it. And they're not going back to it because basically, the sense is that the companies, the business people are saying this makes no sense. This sort of discrimination. But, North Carolina, rural North Carolina is a strange place, so, and that's where it comes from. Most people don't care to bother, to people like us, we don't care to bother and go fight this sort of junk. Really? Who really cares? At the end of the day, I'm saying...
Well, I think when churches and religious people were only affected by the religious people were affected by their religions, it didn't affect everybody else. But now that they're getting into legislation, it's affecting everybody else, and that's what's making, I think, atheists come to
I know.
It's like we're floating to the top of the soup pot now, and we're saying that's enough. We're not going to.
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
Well, I think that's good. I think atheists should. Because look at it like this. If Christianity or religion, whatever you want to call it, has been running the government ever since it's been institutionalized, and the countries in the state it's in, and to be honest with you, I see. Like George Bush, I was like, God, man, this is like some tough stuff. Like to see him representing our country and all this kind of stuff. Obama, hey man, maybe do a little better. I don't know, but it's what was I gonna say? So maybe it's time for atheists to stand up in that position and go like, well, you know what, guys, you've been running it your way for a long time.
Right.
This is kind of like how it's been going. Just show like the right way to do it or lead.
I'll vote for you.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm not anything. You know what I mean? I believe in for me, it's like I believe in. I want to know truth. I want to know the truth, and like I was telling him, I want to love the truth. I want to whatever that is. Whether it's and you know what? I don't want to cause friction with anybody else. I don't like. I want to.
Causes friction.
Well,
No kidding.
I think if there's a, I don't know. I would think
But at least you have the truth behind you, whether it causes a problem or not. At least
Right.
Yeah, but
You can make.
something that,
Yeah. Like we were talking about earlier, people have to be willing to say, I don't know. And the truth does change over time, just like the facts that we know about science. They adjust over time because we learn more details and, you know.
That's why I brought up Santa Claus. I don't know if that's the best example. You know, I probably think of something better. But I guess that just popped into my mind. And I'm just trying to illustrate, I don't know. You know what I mean? Because I feel like as soon as I do know something, then it's like, okay, well, changes into something else. And I'm kind of like, well, then I was talking to him about, is there universal truths? I mean, is there, like, truths that, like, you know, that are staying, like, the same no matter where?
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes. Yeah, well, no, he brought up a good point. What did you say? He said it was thinking or something like that. And, you know, because I brought up the Matrix, are we like this? And I think Damien was saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but, like, and you can correct me. But he was saying, it was thinking, it's like, we have to look at the now or something like that, or we have to, like, this is what we've been given. It's like,
what I said is that we know there's life on this planet.
Right.
And if we have a doubt if there is life on this planet, then we need to be rational and behave according to what we do know.
Right.
And even if we found out later that we were you said in the Matrix, well, it is rational to do what's presented in front of you and assess what's available. It's like someone, you know, a long time ago, you know, took mercury because they thought it was helpful. Yeah. Well, in a sense, back then, before they knew things, it may have not have been unrational to take that because it may have been. We now found out it's not good, so you should stop doing that.
We have enough evidence.
So what I was saying is that we should always be. To me, I always say I have an open relationship with the truth. I'm open to new truth. I don't want to be fixed. I want to be able to amend stuff because a lot of times we can believe things that are totally wrong. We can believe things that are a little bit wrong. We can believe things that are almost totally right, but still need to be corrected how we're seeing it.
But here's the problem. I think most people would say that, could say that.
Well, a lot of people don't say that, though, but yeah.
Well, they could, but...
Especially religious. They go, nothing could ever change my faith. My mom tells it, nothing. I believe in Jesus and nothing.
Why? Because it's the truth, though. I mean, we all have that kind of...
But I'm just saying, so what I'm saying is I would say that if you could really show me that I'm wrong, I will change. In fact, that's why I'm an atheist.
Well, I think a lot of
my mom,
deluded people could say that too.
But I'm just saying my mom doesn't. She'll flat out, I've heard a lot of people, because I do street activism at the colleges, and they'll say, oh, there's nothing you can say that will change my faith in God. And I'm like, well, I have an open relationship with the truth. You can show me something that's true. I'll believe in God if you can show me, prove me it's true.
I'm not saying this is necessarily right, but I think until you're and this is the hardest core thing for me when growing up was when I had a crisis of faith. That was like, fuck. I was like, man, this is like some crazy stuff. But I'm kind of like, some point, you don't have to. It's kind of like this, for example. I think like my parents had a friction with the neighbors' parents, and it was really, really bad. And I was kind of like, well, it's kind of, they had this really great relationship. It was almost like too great. It was like they were mowing our lawn. They were like, you know, they helped us on all these projects that it was like, wow, you're like the super neighbors. This is amazing. And then they got into this problem where they were like, it's ice cold now. And like they're moving. The neighbors are moving now. It's just like crazy. And I thought to myself, all right, man, are all true relationships tested? You know what I mean? And I told my dad, are all great, true friendships tested? You know, to see if they're really true and great or not. True. And, you know, but I didn't know if that was true or not, but I sat back and was like, you know, like, do you have to prove something is the way it is by testing it? You know what I mean? And so when I bring that into religion, do you have to prove this? Do you have to be tested, or I don't test this right, but questioned or something like that to prove that it's actually like this? Because if you didn't have it, if you didn't have that test or that question, I mean, I guess I look at that and I'm kind of like, well, what would that mean? Because you never know, or something like that. Maybe the good way is to be never questioned and never tested, and you just go on and on and on. But I mean, with something, and so I was looking at my parents and their neighbors. It's kind of like, well, if you guys can mend this, that means you were truly actually friends, and you want to make it work, and all this stuff was worth having. But if they're moving, you guys aren't really. I mean, then maybe you weren't really friends. You know what I mean? It's a really wild situation.
It's how you interpret different things, what they mean.
Right.
You know, I never use the word prove or proof.
Okay.
There's evidence.
Evidence.
I mean,
right.
Like, I don't think anyone can prove anything. Well, in mathematics you can prove some things. But
Can you tell me what those are? Because I'd love to know right now.
what?
Well, proof. What's true? You know what I mean?
Well, see, to me,
proof. What's proven?
There-
I mean, I know
you
like a
can't-
squared plus b squared equals c squared. I mean,
Well, you
I
could
don't
say that.
understand that. You know?
You could say there's proof for that, but you can't prove. Like,
Because I mean, I'd love to start
you
there.
can't
and be like,
prove that God doesn't exist. You can't prove that God exists. You can't prove anything really. You can have very strong.
So you can't even
evidence.
prove that proof is not worth being proved?
Yeah. You can't, yeah.
See, to me, when someone says true, I say truth is a value judgment that we place on what we believe is evidence. So the important thing is not the word truth.
Not necessarily.
If you believe it, right? You believe it is something.
Well,
Truth is something we believe is evident. In mathematics, whether it's mathematics or not, it's your personal. When you use the word truth, when you put that label on something, you're making a value judgment. You're judging this is the case.
Not in mathematics, where it's sort of implicit. It's not me.
That's
my
the only
turn.
place where they say there's
Yeah.
true proof is in mathematics.
Well, it's completely proof,
Yeah.
but
Oh
it's
man.
true.
Yeah, just
Yeah, but-
because there's a finite answer because we're dealing with whole figures. Everything else is assumed to be knowledge, but it's based, like you say, on individuals' knowledge and acceptance. One person's level of proof is here, another person's level of proof
Well,
is here.
there's really no
For
proof, there's
religions.
evidence.
Right, right.
Well, here's
Well,
the
it's
thing.
Oh, and
okay.
evidence
But at
matches
some-
what
but
your
at some
claim
point-
is. That is proof.
Right.
You're proving the claim because it's matching the evidence.
Right.
It's
If we have a
connected
yellow-
to.
If we have a yellow
Complicated,
card
though.
here.
It's
we
not
have a green
complicated.
card.
If it doesn't match, if
Right.
your statement does not match the evidence, then you have not proved it.
No, but it's all a matter of perception. A Christian can say that.
Now,
something
the
is
evidence
true.
is not a perception.
What?
Is it evidence is not a perception?
Well, it's how you perceive it. Is that if you perceive something? A
Yeah,
Christian
but
can say that this
but
is
the
proof.
fact that you say it can be perceived means it can be perceived incorrectly and correctly. And if it can be perceived correctly, we can figure out the methodological method
How do you
to
know
do
this is
that.
correct or incorrect?
Because it is able to be proven to be reliable. In other words, if I say that air is necessary for you to live, I can prove if you do not have air. Yes, I can. I can prove you do not have air, you will die. This is proof.
You can't prove that. You can get very strong evidence, though.
That's proof.
No, it's not.
That a human being needs air to live. You don't think that's proved through evidence. We can reliably take
I
10,000
believe that.
humans.
I believe that, and I believe that, and I.
It's been
I think-
proven.
I think there's very strong evidence. I wouldn't say it's proven. Proof.
It is proof. Proof means that what you state matches the evidence.
And it matches, but how do you know it matches? It matches to you.
No. It's reliable outside of me. In other words,
How do you know?
because everyone can take a test and all come to the same conclusion.
So
We
you
can have consensus
the
of
majority decides?
repeatable. No,
Well, I
it's
think
repeatable.
The difference would be as if you said, you can only use air to keep you alive, or only air will keep you alive in
Well, it's
hydrating
not
your
it's not
body
that
with
simple.
oxygen. Okay.
What is being alive?
Right.
You know, it's much more complicated. you
Yeah,
know.
but you're adding a criteria to it that's not.
I'm not adding a criteria.
You said that proof cannot be proven. So you added a criteria
I didn't say
that proof, you
can't
said
be
there's
proven.
only such thing as evidence, but evidence does not equal proof. So,
Evidence doesn't equal proof. Right.
yes, it does. Evidence, proof is what you say about your statement. You said there's no such thing as proof. That's a statement, and you backed it up with evidence. That nothing can be shown to ever do it. Then you already showed the proof of your non-proof is the fact that nothing will equal it. So you gave a syllogism saying that nothing can happen, no matter the evidence, there's not proof. But you are proving there's not proof by saying that evidence doesn't equal it. So you actually
I'm not
proved
no,
your
I'm not
feeling of
proving it.
non-proof.
No, I'm not proving anything.
You did. You gave a rationale,
Okay.
a justification,
What
a
you're saying-
warrant
Yes.
for those things.
Yes.
Then you proved you
It's not
feel.
proof, though.
So then your point that there's no proof is not proven. We can agree on that. That you're not proven
That's just
under your own statement.
You're talking about statements now. Now statements.
No, I'm talking about, you said proof. Proof is a statement. It's a statement that facts meet the reality of the
Look,
evidence.
if we're going to discuss statements, we can talk about logic. All right?
Okay, we can talk logic.
And that's what you seem to be into here.
I like rationalism, not particularly logic
But logic,
itself, but yeah.
Truth, you're talking about the truth and false that can be found in statements. When I was talking about proof and proving something, I meant more proving something about reality.
And so am I.
You're
We prove
talking
things about reality.
You're talking about my statement.
Your statement is a reality statement. You moved it from the realm of that my belief to this is true. You said there is no proof. There's no way to come to proof. And I said evidence that follows your statement is a proven statement. Proven, validated by the evidence. You said no, there's only evidence.
You're mixing these things up.
Am I?
With a statement and with proving something in reality.
So clarify again what you mean by proof.
Well,
If you feel that I've erred in understanding you.
Well, your claims here are in error, not.
I didn't ask what you feel. Tell me again how you define that proof cannot happen. You said and explained how you feel that.
Well, what I said was I do not use those terms.
Okay,
because
that's fine.
I do not see anything as provable.
And I said I did, and you said that's not possible.
Except in mathematics.
Here's my thing: is quantum physics. Because once quantum, so going back to the truth thing, and if you can explain something that's provable, I want to know what that is. Because like with mathematics, I could say 1 + 1 = 2, but when you get in the quantum physics world, like I've heard these guys talking about, it's like not always like that.
It's more speculative.
Well, it's like I don't understand. I don't know anything about quantum physics, but I've heard the term passed around and stuff like that. But it's like where 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, and it's kind of like 1 + 1 = 2 is like the closest thing to proof I kind of knew at the time. And I mean, now it's like you're telling me it's not.
It isn't always true.
Right.
1 + 1 is 2. For
Right.
example, 1 haystack plus 1 haystack.
Equals 3 haystacks, or sorry, 2 haystacks. Sorry.
A lot of hay.
Well, I know 1 + 1 = 3 is a baby, a guy who called a baby, right? So.
What?
1 + 1.
And sometimes one
Ends
cell
up equaling
separates
three.
you.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, but why do you think things are not provable? I mean, that's more a faith statement than a logic statement.
How is it?
I mean, you're talking about syllogisms and logic, so there has to be, connectedness to things. But if you're saying that's not acceptable as a proof, what is a proof? I mean,
Well,
mathematics don't prove anything.
Well, like I said, I don't see
Do you
anything.
believe, is there enough evidence to say that evolution is true?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wouldn't
And
say.
so you want physical evidence?
No.
Or
I would
what
s-
is it that,
I'd say there's enough
where's
evidence
your
to
line?
say that it's true.
Yeah, and I think
But
each
I-
individual
but-
starts with a set of expectations to say something is true or something is not true, and science does to a certain degree as well. But they always leave the door open for more truths to be added or untruths to come along and remove from some of the levels that they've reached. I don't think that's why you're going to have some scientists that still believe in creationism as opposed to evolution, because they have that block in there that says, but no, it has to be this high, and we have to have all those in-between species that show crocodiles and ducks or whatever.
Well, what do you say to a theist who says, okay, you don't believe in God, prove that God doesn't exist?
I prove God to exist in a simple way that God, that term, is a made-up term that is like a empty vessel that you need to add all the qualities to for me to doubt.
No.
So it is. God is an empty term. I know, but
He's asking you, prove that God doesn't
I know,
exist.
and I'm answering
How
your
do you
question.
prove it?
I know, but I'm telling you, I'll answer the question. To me, in general, I would denounce the term God as being talking about anything cognitively reality. In other words, a God, the claim is that it's a supernatural agency with mind, without body, with magical powers. So, to me, that right there, so that's why I first want to define what God is, because I want to rip that apart. To me, in general, I do not accept that term, because it's like saying that the Stay Puft the Marshmallow Man, do you prove it's not real? That's a cognitively, to me, ridiculous statement. Now, how do I do this is this. So first, what is a God? So God is all these supernatural things. So, debunking a God would require that I investigate places.
I'm saying debunk. I'm saying prove he doesn't exist.
Doesn't
Okay,
you define him?
proof. But that's what I'm saying about defining. But I'm saying proof he doesn't
You have to
exist.
agree.
So it has to be a supernatural thing. So if it's a supernatural thing, then I look at what's available. Like I was talking to him about I look at the world. And if I can find nothing supernatural that's even limited supernatural. Not supernatural with a mind without body, not supernatural with magical powers, not supernatural with all kinds of other things, the ability to make, spells and magic. There's nothing supernatural. To me, this is proof, because science on every level, in every test, throughout time, has found only natural. Not even the hint of anything even lightly supernatural. So to me, that is, number one, a reason why I would not believe in a God. Number two, that's proof. What's proof of no supernatural? There is proof of no supernatural.
That's not proof.
That is proof of no supernatural.
Just because you've never seen anything, it doesn't exist.
Then the other thing is that I say that intelligent design. I look at the evolution of the world, and I notice that 95 to 99% of all living things that have ever lived on this planet have gone extinct. That, if it was a designer, is the most unintelligent designer possible. Then I also look at another fact that...
That's for you to say.
Yeah, but I think, but you want to say something, right, Peggy?
Oh, I think you first have to define what you mean by God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then some people, you're never going to be able to take away their belief because, let's say someone magically, or they recover from an illness and there's no scientific rationale for it. That's going to be a miracle to the believer. You're never going to get anywhere with that.
Surgery is a miracle to a believer.
But and what I would say to that is, but if a God was real, it would have to be more than just you. Everyone who believes would have to be benefited substantially, where we could statistically say all Christians go get heart, things. They all get better, healing than atheists.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can do that, there's several. In other words, I take logical proofs or rational proofs. You can look at things in the world and then make good inferences directly related to those things, and then you can, by putting those things together, multiple things, reasons that we can assess the world correctly, we can judge that thus, because all these things we know are true, thus God has to be false.
That isn't still not true.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making. I think the way we're talking about it is that one is a faith, one is logic. You can never defeat faith with logic.
But
Your idea about God is your faith. I don't have faith in it.
But ask a Christian, will they say, yes, I have proof.
Yeah, let them keep the proof.
Just like you say you have proof, but it's not proof.
But I offered evidence, and I told you.
They can offer evidence too.
Yeah, but they
They don't
take.
accept their evidence.
They say miracles. Well, we did prayer studies, and in 14 prayer studies that happened since 18 something, I don't remember exactly, and the last one was in 2007. Every single prayer study failed. One had like a little bit of a something,
Yeah,
but
you don't have to try to convince me.
no, I wasn't trying to convince you. I'm just saying.
But
I was saying that what we do is every claim they made about. I'm just saying the quality of God. That's what I was talking about. You asked the question. I'm saying to me, when you look at every quality of God, and I can debunk every single quality, there's nothing left but to say that it has to not exist.
But look, that works for you, but it doesn't work for believers.
Yeah, it doesn't work for believers. That's exactly right. It's a belief.
Because it's not proof.
They don't want to think that part about it.
But hold on. To say it's not proof. So
They want the easy out, so they
Yeah,
want
but-
to stick
Well,
with it.
most of them, but there are some who really devote a lot.
But there's some that say evolution isn't true. There's some that say the Earth is flat.
Yes, there are.
So it's not a lack of proving to them. It's that they choose, like he said, to use faith
Well, yeah, sure. But
regardless of
but
proof.
Still, I maintain that these things cannot be proved.
But you did say that evolution is
I don't
true.
use- I don't
So
use
you
that
did say
language.
evolution is true. So does that also equal evolution has been proved?
No,
Okay, so so you can have truth without proof.
absolutely.
Okay.
So my question is, so you don't believe in
That's a
proof?
contradiction, though.
No, it isn't. How is it a contradiction?
So you
Oh
are,
no, sorry. Oh no,
No, it's not a contradiction. How is it a contradiction?
it's a contradiction.
No. In what way is it a contradiction?
I mean, you're saying there's truth without proof.
Yeah.
So how do you define that?
Define
I mean,
the
what
word.
is true, what do you believe is true but doesn't have proof? I want to see an
let's-
example.
let's see,
You consider.
I can tell you about all sorts of life experiences I've had, but I can't prove them. They can still be true. But there are many things that are true. It's true that I don't know.
But in a sense, if you can't prove it, though, we don't know it's true. You're saying it's
That's
true.
right. You don't know it's true.
That's again a faith issue. It's a faith
Well, it's
question.
not really a faith. There's evidence, right?
Well,
More or less.
Well, if it's about your life, I don't know it. I mean, I can tell you about my life. You know, that I grew up in California.
It's just an example, okay? But you can see in that example that what I'm saying could be true, but I can't prove it, right?
Yeah, but you made a universal claim, not a personal one. So
No,
even if that
as an example of a universal claim, that there are lots of things that are true, but I can't prove them.
Well, you can't prove a negative. I mean, you can prove
well,
a
you can
negative
prove a
number,
negative
but you
in
can't
logic.
What's negative about my experiences?
Well, we can also say that we arrived late because one of the wings on our airplane broke, and that's why we were
Wouldn't
late.
that be nice?
And that's why we were late getting here. Or the helicopter prop that we landed on the roof, you know, even though there's probably no help. There might be a helipad up there, I don't know. I'm guessing there probably isn't.
But that's what I'm saying. You know,
Right.
if you
There
have,
are things you can prove that, no, we didn't land on the roof, because right now we could all walk up onto the roof and see that there's no stinking helicopter.
Well, from my point of view,
Or we could go out to where the nearest small airport is and see that there's no plane out there.
what I would say is we can go up on the roof and see that there's no evidence to support what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
So you disprove it.
And so, but that's not
I wouldn't
proving.
say prove
But that's
or
not
disprove.
proving a negative. That's proving something that I've stated as a positive statement.
What I'm saying is,
So you don't believe in disproof either? So when something is, like you said, doesn't match, that's not disproof?
Terms. I say,
Okay, well,
rely
you
on
don't use the
evidence.
terms. Okay, that's fine.
I rely on evidence, and there's either stronger or. But
That's fine. You
there's
don't
no
use that term, that's
contradiction
fine.
between proof and truth. Not being able to prove something and things being true.
I would love to know right now, whatever comes to the top of your guys' head first, what is true?
What is true?
What is universally true? What's true? What's true? Is it different for everybody? Is we all put in the middle right now,
That
like
is-
what is true?
That
mean,
is
You know what I mean?
human
Is there anything
beings-
like
that is a
human beings-
philosophical
reality?
question.
Is it this conversation? Is this a true? I mean,
That's a
No, for
philosophical
human
question.
beings, perceptions is the truth.
perception's true.
Right.
It's a
Different
perception.
perceptions of the truth.
But everybody's.
But humans have tons of biases too, so
Perceptions
No,
aren't
percep-
true.
No,
They
no,
are
but
for the
it's
person
what
who
they
perceives
use
them.
as for defining truth. Human beings use perceptions as defining truth.
They
Yeah.
use many different things, not just perceptions. And
that's
perceptions
what
can
most
be
people-
false, misleading. You know?
yeah, I'm full of biases.
Well,
Everyone is.
If you have a yellow card and you have a green card, if you think of the colors that are in between the yellow and the green, there's a variety, right? When does the yellow become green? At what point? You could say this is yellow-green, so that's as close to the middle. That one in the middle is going to be seen as yellow and green. But when does yellow actually become green? Or when does green actually become yellow? It is a matter of perception. I may have more rods or cones or whatever it is in my eyes that enable me to see yellow, but maybe I can't see yellow very well.
But that's
you
not
know.
just a physiological thing. You have other biases. You have cultural bias. You have
That's true.
life experience that creates bias.
Right. I'm
I
just.
mean, people in India might say, "Oh, this
Right.
is green," and you say, "Oh, no, that's still yellow." Yeah.
But it's more of but it's a perceptive as well as historical in your past. But I mean, we know that this is red.
Well, it's
This
a
is
version of
darker
red.
than this. This is a brighter red.
Because it also would say that we have a bias in how we perceive what red is.
And
Because
can anyone prove which green is which shade is?
If you had a somebody that did chromatology or something that could come in here and
Yeah.
detect it with a camera and a lens.
Yeah, I think so.
That was perfect beyond our eyes' ability to define the color. They're you know.
That's not what they do. They just take measurements. We interpret those measurements.
True, that's true.
Right.
But there has to be a consensus that says red versus
but that's not true. That's not true.
So are we saying that truth is different for everybody?
right. Well,
I'm not saying that.
All right,
down
I'm
in
just
Mexico,
saying.
this
I mean,
is
I don't know
red,
if that's
it's
where
raw.
it's going.
People do have different versions of what truth is, but I don't agree that
Yeah,
truth.
the truth, like anything, is an infinity concept. You know,
Right.
you can go on.
But if you
on a
say
normal
match
distribution
two
anywhere.
things on this table that match in color, we can match his two cups that are in one inside the other. We can match her backpack to the camera case, or the phone's keys to the the different electronic devices. We can sort and categorize things based upon, again, our perceptions. Each
But it can't be
individual.
proven.
But it doesn't need to.
But that's fine. You don't like the
proved.
word,
Exactly.
but proof has a meaning in the dictionary, and it has an actuality in what we do. I mean, I can look at what proof means.
Well, I don't use that.
I know, but you say you don't use it, but then you tell us that we can't have
Okay,
it.
if
If you don't use it, that's fine.
If we were
I didn't
driving,
say that.
if on our
That's
way
how
over
you
here,
took it very personally.
You said that I can't prove anything. No, science doesn't prove anything.
I don't
So
think
you,
you can. From
but-
my point,
but
and
that's
especially your answer to can prove that God doesn't exist. That wasn't proof at all.
but
That was a load of reasoning
and logic and reason can get you
I know,
to
exactly,
inference
but
to
you-
proof
Right.
until someone can show me something
Maybe
otherwise,
it can, but you didn't succeed with that.
and that's your opinion
But no, that's.
that I didn't succeed.
because each person has their own different.
But it doesn't matter. See,
You
the
can
great thing though is that
dismiss anything as a
what you
matter
said
of
though,
opinion.
because you don't believe in proof, nothing I showed would have been proof. So I'm actually totally feel fine that not saying anything about it because you already said
No.
there's no such thing. So
No.
it's finding a losing argument with someone who doesn't agree with the term.
No, now you're getting into nonsense.
I'm getting into nonsense.
Yeah.
Really?
That is not.
When I said
that is not a way to dismiss my argument like that.
you dismissed it by saying there's nothing that can be proof, and I'm saying I finally acknowledge
Yeah.
that you said
Exactly.
that.
We all agree. I think.
I
Okay.
acknowledge that you said that.
What's interesting to me is we got two truth seekers right here who are really seeking the truth, and it's like, and so that's interesting to me because it's like, so I go back to like, man, so if we got two people who are like just on top of it, and we're still like, then I'm kind of like, I'm almost like, is there truth, man? Like, I mean, and here's where I go with it. This whole concept of like keeping it real and stuff like that you hear kind of people say, it's kind of like, well, how can you have reality? I mean, isn't reality and truth like kind of similar? And it's kind of like, so, but if there is no, I mean, I'm getting into like,
Well,
a spot where I'm like,
let me read from the dictionary, which I agree with.
okay.
Proof, parentheses, truth, argument or sufficient evidence for the truth of a proposition. I completely.
So, in other words, the dictionary says proof and truth are one and the same.
Well, it says
But
proof,
it
truth.
says-
Yeah,
it
it
says-
says the same.
It
Yes.
says a proposition, not about reality. Then it's about.
But a proposition is you're stating about.
Yeah.
Okay, there's different.
No,
There's a
I'm talking
formal proof, mathematical proof, convincing and demonstrating that some of the mathematical statements are necessarily true. Proof in theory, a branch of mathematical logic that represents proofs in formal mathematical objects. Alcohol proof, well, that doesn't even matter. Artist proof, that doesn't matter. Gallery proof.
Biological proof.
Hold on, let me look. There's process proof, I don't know what that is. A facsimile of press artwork, no, that's not. Proof in coins, no. Proofreading, no. Proof in banking, nope, that's it. So it goes back to the first one, that basically proof is truth of an argument or sufficient evidence. See, it's argument or. So evidence means either an argument or sufficient evidence for the truth of a proposition.
This is propositions. It's not reality.
But reality is a proposition. When I say something, it is a proposition of reality. If I say this and this, I take a medicine for my...
Reality and what you say about it are two different things.
I think the difference is that she has a greater expectation for the number of proofs or evidence that supports a truth. You have a higher expectation of a greater quantity.
No,
to
it isn't
prove
just that. It's just a different point of view.
Okay.
Okay.
I like his idea of perception. I thought there's something in that.
It
that
has
was
to
kind
be,
of like,
biology counts. I mean, biology matters. What you cannot, what people can't feel or perceive, it doesn't exist. I mean, yes, abstract ideas exist. Abstract ideas can be used, but that's, as you say, in the definition. After all, the philosophers have debated about this for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
So the truth, and proof, adjoining words. So yeah, they're perceptions. But for most human beings, common sense is that you use the biological means you have to achieve truth or the proof. It's not perfect. It's never going to be
there's
perfect.
so much coercion in religion to get people to have these feeling moments in church.
No.
And because that is their only proof that they're going to come up with is that, what is it, the Mormon religion says it's a burning in your chest or something like that. And
you see
different
light
people,
or
right,
something,
or you feel it in your
enlightenment.
heart, or you
So it's always
a
a
warmth that
perception.
comes over you.
Well-
They try to stir you up into a frenzy so that you feel those
Yeah,
things.
it's emotional.
And that
Again,
is-
it's
that-
another of the perception.
Right, and then you have 60 people in a small church maybe that can agree that they felt that all at the same time, and it's proof. So that justifies what they're feeling, and then they're
But
convince a neighbor to come next time.
But
you know?
there's also, it's not just emotional. I mean, there are more intellectual arguments that support religions too. I mean, like apologists who.
Well, they try. Yeah, they try to circle and dance around the subjects, apologists especially.
Yes, but what I'm saying is it's not only based on personal emotional experience.
Coercion and verbal proof of other things that they state they saw or witnessed. But that doesn't mean it's real.
She's right. In fact, I know that they're able sometimes to say things in a way they can use logic to say that God is true. Because logic doesn't require you to have evidence; it just requires that your statements are coherent with what you're saying. So they'll say, if a God is real, and God were needed for humans, and there is humans, and we have need, thus there's a God. I mean, in a sense, that's kind of a logical statement, but they started with, to me, a false premise. They don't know that there is a God, but they caveat that by saying if there's a God.
Well, we all have a destination we're all going
They
for.
usually don't say if, the true believers.
Well, no, but I'm saying, when they write a logic statement, I've read William Lane Craig, and he writes that if a God is real, he's very careful, because he doesn't want other philosophers to attack him.
And
So he says stuff, and he goes, this is valid. It is valid as the part of the syllogism is being coherent with what it's saying. Yes, that is.
regards it as proof. Right?
Yes, he regards it as proof, and I would say in
I
that
don't regard
frame.
it as proof,
Well,
or even evidence.
Well, no, I don't regard it. That's a different question. Evidence to me, I do think that he's proving it in the syllogism thing. It is valid. It's not valid in reality, but he didn't start with he started if this. So I mean, he's not even assuming that it's true.
They learned
Maybe
how.
we should break up.
Yeah, she's just going to the restroom.
You sure?
Yeah, she's.
And your other statement about us arguing, I appreciate her, saying stuff. I have no problem with people challenge. I think that it's good for thinkers
it's good to be challenged on your side of the table.
It's good to have always be open.
Somebody on the other side
Okay,
that
the
is going to
philosopher
fight it.
Thomas Hobbes said, perhaps you know this, that true and false. What did he say exactly? True and false. That they only apply to statements.
Well,
not reality. They apply to statements.
I
A
said.
statement can be true or false. A table can't be true or false. The weather can't be true or false.
But a statement about the weather or a statement about the table.
Yeah,
can be
statements.
true.
Yeah, but
It applies to language.
Right, but I said.
It's easy to mix those up.
Right, but like I said, to me, truth is a value judgment that we place on what we believe is evidence. When we say something is true,
No. Look at mathematics. There's no value.
I'm talking about the mathematics. You're still the evidence of your statements.
And then logic. It's not based on values.
It's a value judgment. You've judged that this is evidence. A value judgment on what we think is evidence. We believe this is evidence.
True and false? A true or false statement.
That
That is a matter of logic. It's not a matter of personal values or
I said value judge. We value judge that logic is
it's not
correct.
a value judgment.
So when answering all these questions,
Because either it is or it isn't correct, It's a truth-false statement.
so we're all pursuing something, right? So we're all going in a direction. We're all trying to get to a certain point. And I'm saying, what point is that? And I gotta think that peace is somewhere along the way.
Peace.
Like peace is gonna be somewhere. You know what I mean? It's gotta be somewhere. Like we all want to get somewhere, and we're all going in a direction. We might be going to different routes to get there, but we're all trying to get to this place. And I'm trying to imagine what that place is. But I gotta think peace is either there or it's along the way at some point where it's like. But I mean, I'm just trying to see the things that I can observe and what I see, and it's kind of like we're going somewhere. We're all trying to get to this place, and I don't know.
Yeah,
And
I don't think this is taking us there.
Oh, you don't think so?
No.
Well, I mean, we're kind of
I don't think
like
it's-
bouncing ideas off each other, trying to
I
like.
don't think it's an intellectual kind of pursuit.
You know, I mean,
I think
we're talking about truth. I mean, that's
Well, I think for peace on earth.
well, peace anywhere, peace in yourself. You know?
Yeah. We need
Peace in everywhere. I don't know. Peace in all things.
yeah, but we definitely need to alleviate.
I'm just wondering where the destination is.
Pain and
Where are we
suffering.
all trying to, like, this conversation, where's it leading to? Because when I came here, I saw rational, I saw philosophy, I saw another, I can't remember, the humanism, and I saw...
Humanism,
atheism,
atheism,
heart.
rationalism.
It's heart. Yeah, excuse me, isn't it? So, and I was like, man, well, this is going in a direction I want to go. Or it's got qualities in it that I want to go in that direction, so I was like...
Well, one of the things
Yeah.
we've talked about at previous meetings is we're trying to find a way that we can encourage change in society to not have it be all negative against atheists, not just, or atheist, or atheist, however, maybe untheist. We should be called untheist instead of atheist.
Non-theist.
We'll use the word un, because it's much more clear as far as what it defines the
People don't
prefix to the
understand
word.
that word
Right.
anymore.
And I can agree with that, to, like, certain... I
Right.
mean, like, listen,
And-
that whole, like, oh,
Well, and just to find a way to who can you affect? First, we need to support one another more than anything. That's the reason that we have these get-togethers. It's so that we don't think that our thinking is just off the wall and nobody else thinks like us. You know, we all think differently about everything. There's no denying that we have different opinions about levels of our belief or lack of belief, or the things that we find important that we're striving for. But I think most of what we give one another friendship because we're not pushing religion onto each other, like the outside resources are. But also, what changes can we implement in society as a whole that makes it easier for our acceptance? And so that someday maybe we will have politicians that, we've had a couple of them, but they usually come out after they're leaving office, that say that they're atheist and they did a good job, and people are like, well, that's okay.
Which ones did that?
Stark, I think it was in California, Southern California. He was a congressman.
To your question about moving humanity forward, I think we really need rational thinking to discuss
because this is a rational
and
thing
make,
where
and
everyone...
make progress.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, I think religion stands in the way of making this a better world.
Because even
But, I could be wrong. What if there's a new religion that preaches love thy neighbor and really practices or gets it across to people?
Yeah.
So they really practice it. What if there was such a religion?
But generally, they don't stay within the confines that are palatable or tolerable for societies. They always have to overstep their reaches because they find it profitable.
Right.
One way or the
But
other, whether
I'm
it's
saying,
financially
okay,
profitable or socially profitable.
just as a thought experiment, what if there was such a religion that got people to be kind to each other?
I would be happy. I wouldn't
Yeah.
join it, but
Yeah.
I don't like joining stuff like
Right.
that. But I would be happy. Just like someone asked me before, okay, you don't believe in God. Let's just say God's real. Let's say I accept that premise. Okay, fine. Now it said, Damien, what kind of God would you accept if you could choose the God that you wanted to? And I said, okay, how about a God that wants the parishioners to build beautiful gardens and give out food to the homeless? That I would be all on board for.
Oh, you would allow homeless?
No, I said, no, I wouldn't allow homeless. But I mean,
The God would?
well, true, but my point was, yeah. Well, I'm just talking about what I said off the top of my head was a garden god, one that wants you to build, vegetables and gardens, and that the beauty of the garden maximized the love for the god. That doing something totally productive, it wasn't against anything. There's no rules, no books, just total love and just feed people and.
Love to the God.
Well, I meant
That is the representation.
representation.
Of love, yeah.
That you build the beautiful garden and it doesn't hurt nobody. I'm saying,
To be
and
giving,
then
to be giving with your fruitful of your,
yeah, fruitful and that gives it to
Yeah.
the people in need, whatever.
not fruitful of
Yeah,
And no
Procreation.
tree acknowledging that God.
no, I was just saying, just positive, just total, just the only way to practice was just to build gardens and and make life and give away free food. To me, that would be, if there was a God like that, I'd be like, oh, maybe I could see liking a God like that.
You have a cheeseburger, could grow on a tree.
Bacon.
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 You would praise him once.
Oh, man. There's something good.
But I agree, one that wouldn't allow homeless would be good, and one that doesn't allow suffering in general. But
Yeah.
But I didn't think of that at the
if
time.
they-
I'm just saying.
When people start worrying about that feeding people, they also start worrying about the other issues as well. I think that they kind of go hand in hand. That I always thought it was kind of silly when they have these end of school year campaigns for food in the shelters or food in the like the harvest giveaway places for food, so you can put food in there for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I always thought, they need food year round.
Yeah.
They don't just need food now. Or we need to donate, loaves of bread, peanut butter, and jelly, so that these kids who are going to be without school lunches during the summer can eat. Well, they need lunches all year round, on Saturday and Sunday too, not just Monday through Friday. And yes, people need to donate stuff year round, or we need to figure out what is the root of the problem. The problem isn't that their cupboards are bare. The problem is their parents can't afford to put food on the table, or the parents are working so much. My husband, his mother used to keep a bolt cutter outside by the back door, so that when the PG&E came and shut off the power, he'd be able to go outside and turn the power back on by cutting into the block they put on the box and flipping the switch back on, so that then they could make mashed potatoes or macaroni and cheese for dinner for just the kids. But she worked 2 or 3 jobs, but her goal was to succeed in business, and she never worried about where her kids were at night. So there are people that of all different levels of ability. Some may do it by choice. She had enough money to put food on the table, but she chose not to. So there are a lot of people, but the kids need support regardless. No matter how you look at it, people need to feed and clothe and care for one another if you see the need. But if you don't see the need, it's easy to ignore it. And I think that, like you say, if that God existed that said, I will love you more as your God, and I will grace you with good health or whatever, if you grow a garden and share the garden's
That's what I was trying to say.
And share what you have with other people, then I think people feel better about what they're doing, and they're doing a positive thing. But they're also going to be seeing those kids on a regular basis. Here, I brought you a basket of apples. Why are you not, why is it dark in your house? Why is it cold in your house? Whatever. So I think that communities have separated because, we all have our own cell phones. We all have but we don't actually talk to each other. We talk to each other. We actually are sitting at a table face to face. That doesn't happen very often anymore. I think, if anything, atheists have it better because we're sitting across a table from one another, facing one another with ideas. And in a church, you face forward. Everybody faces the same direction, listening to one person talk.
I do enjoy this. That's why I wanted to come, because I was like,
I think you say you enjoy church.
No, I enjoy the,
You're like, hey, hold on a second. I like looking forward.
It's really nice to bounce your ideas and actually talk with people.
It would be cool. It'd be cool if more people could do this kind of thing, it's equally cool when you're not judged so much. Because you're just we're all trying to get to the same thing, I think, and it's like, I know it's kind of tough to everyone's got their own opinion, but it's nice to bounce ideas. Basically, what you said. Right. It's nice to do that. So I think that's cool. Yeah. Yep. Truth seeker.
Well, we're gonna try to make it so that we can maybe have, whether it's teleconferencing or there's something else that Anthony Magnabosco did recently, and it was with.
Who's that? I don't know what that is.
Oh, he's the guy who does the street epistemology in Texas.
Oh.
And he, I can't think. Is it Michael Kelly? Anyway, he's on HARP. He said he knows you.
I don't know
and
Michael Kelly.
I just befriended him today because he said he had lived in Eureka, and I said, oh, cool. I said, now you're in Washington, and he's going to college at Western Washington, Western, or maybe it's Central. Either Western or Central, not UW or any of the ones right around here.
Well, I did go to the South and the Central and the North. Actually, the Central was the worst. They didn't want me even to stand near their building. They're like, you need to be on the street. And I'm like, this is a public school, right? I go, public school, I should be able to go inside the school, if I want. As long as I'm not blocking people. And they said, you step one down, we're calling the police. I'm like,
Anthony does step into a public school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anthony, all these school shootings and everything.
Well, you can't bring a gun, but
just standing in like a red square at UW. It's an open. You can walk through the campus, and they can't get rid of homeless people either because it's an open campus. It's not. But
I'm talking about public schools, not private ones. Yeah, they're in colleges. Yeah, like even in one in North Seattle North, they have a sign that says people here are allowed to speak for their First Amendment rights, but the college does not support their ideas or their beliefs. They're not
Some
connected to
colleges
college in
require
any.
you to be a student of at least one class in order to do that, though. The one that Anthony's at in, I think it's San Antonio, Texas, or maybe, I don't know what, it's a college down there anyway. And he started taking a class because they wouldn't allow him, he had to get a permit, and in order to get a permit, he had to be a student. So he's actually, but anyway, it's called Blab, and what it is, and I don't know if it's through our cell phones or through that, using YouTube as a uploading thing,
Yeah.
but it enabled the four of them to, they sectioned off a screen, and all four of them are talking. You can look at it on YouTube. And then it enables people on the outside to view that, but also to call in and talk to them. And it was, I'm going to look into it. Maybe I'll try something online tonight and see if if we can get 3 or 4 people to talk and see what it does. I have no idea if it would work in a meeting situation, but that way people that, because we have people that are all across the world that are in HARP.
Yeah, on Facebook.
Yeah, and that would enable them the freedom to, and Shirley even, I mean, she's back in Missouri now,
Right,
so
right,
she
right.
would like to still continue the meetings that way. So that
Yeah, I enjoyed her coming. She was cool.
yeah, and there's a lot of people even that are in Seattle, but they can't leave. They can't, they can sit with us for a half an hour during their lunch break, but they can't come over here and back, during a normal work day. But the reason we have it during the work day is because a lot of people are off during the day and they don't have the option of doing meetings at night. So it just gives people another opportunity to meet, another time
Yep.
slot.
All right. Cool,
Bye.
man. Awesome.